Having started a bar brawl in the last episode, Beth Dutton is now behind bars for aggravated assault and forms a bond with a victim of the police officer who arrested her. When Jamie Dutton pays a visit to Beth, he informs her that she is powerless and must only hope that the person she assaulted won't file a police report. Beth commands him to stop the other woman from filing official charges and putting her in jail, while reminding him that she is aware of what Jamie did to his own father. John Dutton declines to attend the luncheon for educators and cancels yet another government meeting. He says it's because there won't be any actual educators there because it's during a school day, but it appears like he's just looking for an excuse to miss the meeting. He dismisses those present for playing politics the manner they are accustomed to, rather than simply entering his office as they pass past a policy meeting taking place without him. John dismisses everyone because he is enraged by their intentions to invest in solar energy. John finds out during an urgent meeting with U.S. Fish and Wildlife that they believe his cowboys killed wolves based on information from their electronic collars. On speakerphone, John phones Rip Wheeler, who adamantly denies there were wolves on the Yellowstone ranch, but the agents don't believe him. They caution John that the organizations who paid for the collars will assume what they do, namely, that John's cowboys killed the wolves. Following that frightening warning, Jamie calls John to inform him of Beth's situation. He makes a helpline call to Senator and former Governor Linnell Perry. In an extreme form of victim blaming, Jamie meets with the lady Beth assaulted in the bar and persuades her not to file a police report. The sheriff blithely remarks that his workload will now be reduced. Monica, meanwhile, finally receives the funeral for her son that she desires. Rip and the ranchmen come across her family as they are sifting through the soil of Yellowstone. The cowboys assist when they decide to bury the boy and the horse that Carter hurt and Rip killed. John talks about his job and the landmines he and his family have tripped on while eating lunch with Linnell. Linnell informs him that, if necessary, he has the power to grant a pardon. She also advises him to hire an environmental advisor, noting that encounters with wolves and bison almost cost her job, and insists that it cannot just be one of his cowboy friends. John sulks, obviously overwhelmed by his new political position. After being accused of unruly behavior, Beth is let out of jail. She is furious despite everything Jamie did for her and demands a ride home from him. Beth's connection with her brother in particular seems out of control for the first time in a while. Once inside his vehicle, Beth discovers the infant seat and, at last, finds out that Jamie has a hidden son. She sobs over her brother's pregnancy after he drove her to the hospital to have her uterus removed. She assaults Jamie while he is driving and then leaves once he eventually pulls over, threatening to take the child from him. Beth dodges Jamie's blows as he gets back in the car by moving out of the way. After reflecting on the unfair way that jails set up released prisoners for failure, Beth accepts a ride from a stranger. This is an oddly compassionate note from a family that isn't known for showing it, especially from a woman who actually did have the resources to get back on her feet. John visits Yellowstone again and attends the son of Monica and Case's burial service. He then follows Beth, who is standing back and observing Monica offer up the hair she had cut off. John gives Beth a lesson in impulse control as the ceremony goes on. They need to know the Duttons care enough to stay, John adds as Beth tries to leave the house, claiming the family doesn't want them there. Beth requests that her father burn her after she passes away and skips the burial before leaving. After the ceremony, Chief Rainwater approaches John and requests that he console Monica, Case, and Tate. Additionally, he informs John that they must discuss the airport cancellation and the dissatisfaction of those making the reservation. John consents to a meeting on the reservation to discuss what transpired before going to comfort Monica. He tells her that although his brother's life was short and perfect, he passed away not long after being born. Like her child, all he had ever known was his mother's love. Monica expresses her gratitude while crying. After expressing his gratitude for Case naming the child after him, John gives Case his livestock commissioner badge back. John advises him to keep working while promising to locate a replacement for his son. To converse, John and Rip take a seat on the porch. John says he'll be back at the ranch for branding the following week, but it appears that John had forgotten, and Rip is perplexed that it could have slipped his memory. Rip is open about the ranch workers shooting the wolves as well. The first authentic cowboying action of the show, complete with lots of lassoing, occurs when the cowboys go lend a hand with a branding operation on a nearby property. Rip and the neighbor have an ironic talk about how happy they are that the world hasn't discovered the beauty of their property and how sad they are about the world they're leaving the next generation during the afterparty of food, bonfires, and kid-friendly activities. When environmentalist Summer Higgins is freed from prison, previous visitor Piper Parabo makes a comeback. John is waiting for her when she arrives. It turns out that he was the one who used Linnell's pardoning instructions to get a release. While Summer decides to stay with John at the ranch and ostensibly act as his environmental advisor, she insisted that their connection would not be sexual. Sarah from Market Equities and Jamie have supper together. She talks about wanting to find a way to collaborate over wine, but comes out as ambiguously intimidating. When the two go to the bar for alcohol after skipping supper, their conversation rapidly becomes personal. It turns out Beth had been keeping an eye on the couple the entire time until they left to look for a private location to be careless. In the shower upstairs, they engage in sexual activity while Beth peeks through Sarah's handbag and takes a photo of her ID. Later, when Beth looks her up online, she discovers that Sarah isn't her true name. While she is looking, she also discovers Summer inside the house, half naked and obviously not keeping her connection with John strictly professional.